Still with us, guest legal analyst Wendy Patrick and David Bruno. All right, where to start? Let's start with this, David, if I could. Were you surprised to hear such a strong reaction from the judge, or do you think it was necessary that he said all of that to justify the fact he set a $5 million bond in this case?
Well, I think he took the opportunity to make a couple comments more than what's legally required here. We just heard a little bit about the defendant's history, which the commissioner had to take into consideration for bail purposes that may not be presented later at the jury trial. But look, I mean, this is one of the things I wanted to add to our last segment is this individual had just been released on a case where he had allegedly run over the mother of his child. And now we're learning some additional facts that he assaulted another victim prior to the parade incident. So when you're taking a look at history and determining what appropriate bail is, number one, I think that they would have had it even if you didn't have the history. Just on the facts here alone, the deaths and the exposure to life in prison with each intentional act. But it didn't stop there for this purpose. We heard a lot about his history. He mentioned that he had previously not followed bail or release conditions. That's all relevant to the commissioner's decision when deciding bail, as he did here. And he did set it for the record. But I would imagine, too, the commissioner also knew that there was a camera in the courtroom, and this is a big national case. And I would imagine that he did want to set the tone for the case in general. And also, there's a piece of deterrence out there for the general public as well.
Well, that's a good point, the deterrent piece. And in this case, we know that Brooks, again, he's accused of killing 6 people and injuring 61 people when he ran his car, the state says intentionally, through the parade. Wendy, let's talk about the intentional piece, because the 2 detectives, as we were listening, 2 detectives said it was intentional. How can they say or know that he did it intentionally?
Actions speak louder than words. That will sum up exactly the way we do that. And we do that every day in a courtroom because it's the rare criminal that confesses as to having that level of criminal intent, mens rea, as we learned in law school. But what was it somebody thinking when they did what they did? And part of the way you do prove it is by eyewitness observations. They're able to see, you already heard some of the witnesses at the preliminary hearing talked about this man aiming the car at people. So maybe he swerved around a couple. He certainly plowed into others head on. You know, these descriptive words that are used by these witnesses that'll no doubt be picked up by both sides in the opening statement and closing argument when this goes to trial. But that's how you know not only by what did they do, but you also learn by the history. I have to say that judge was gracious in the way he was making the record. I know he said he described this man as a gentleman, but certainly didn't sound that way by looking at what this person did in the past. So that's the way we do it, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you for that description. And you're right, he has the history and the allegations in this case that are backed up by a video, and a jury will have to decide whether or not he intended to hurt and kill all of those people. You'll both stay with us because up next, a very disturbing